teacher talking sports, what does, what do, how we live. And every year, Mike Clay of ESPN does his NFL positional group rankings, the best, worst team units. So he's looking at every team position by position and ranking them 1 through 32. Offense, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, defense, interior, defensive line, edge rusher, off-ball linebacker, cornerback, safety. He then weighs it by the importance of the position. So obviously quarterback gets weighed the most, and then ranks the 32 teams altogether by their roster. So in this, I'm going to share the best and worst from each of the positions. We're going to start with offense. So he has the Ravens as the best room of quarterbacks. Now, he doesn't necessarily specify, but I'm assuming obviously that the starting quarterback is going to get weighed the highest. Like, for example, the Ravens backups. Cooper Rush, good, but, Lamar Jackson, nearly a 3-time MVP. So he beats out Josh Allen and the Bills in second, and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in third, Joe Burrow and the Bengals fourth. Worst, not really a surprise, the New Orleans Saints. Tyler Shuck, second-round pick, likely to be the starter, although Spencer Rattler might have something to say about that. Second to worst, the Browns. If it was ranked by who had the most quarterbacks, the Browns might be first, but that's not what it is. The running backs, of course, the Lions have a awesome 1-2 punch of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Both are fantasy relevant guys because they do so much. Worse, the Cowboys. It just seems like the Cowboys don't care about the position. First, they let Tony Pollard walk. Now they let Rico Dowdle walk. And it looks like Javonte Williams, who really hasn't been good in, 3 years, might be the starter. Miles Sanders really struggled with the Panthers. Did draft Jadon Blue, I think, in the 5th round. Wide receivers, the Bengals. After the first two, it's a little iffy. Jermaine Burton. But, as long as T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are healthy, they definitely are probably a top pairing. Actually, a couple weeks ago, I did my top 10 wide receiver duos, and they were number one. Worst, the Raiders. Jacoby Myers is consistent. Not a top-tier receiver, but a good one. After that, not much there. Tight ends, the Ravens. So Ravens lead the way in 2 offensive categories. Of course, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. Both are very good tight ends, and, you wonder if Andrews ends up walking and Likely gets an even larger role. Worst, the New York Jets, who did draft Mason Taylor in the 2nd round. So we'll see if that's what it looks like, as not much pass catching at the position after him. Offensive line, the Eagles, that's even after losing Mekhi Becton. Still have Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, guys like that. And the worst, the Jacksonville Jaguars, a guy like Walker Little, really hasn't panned out yet for them. Now let's take a look at the defensive rankings, and that's my 8-month-old daughter in the background. She's playing with one of her toys in her playpen as we speak. But anyhow, interior defensive line, I'm a Giants fan. Man, I think, how good would that Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams interior defensive line look if they were still together? Obviously, got priced out, but Leonard Williams has been phenomenal for the Seahawks. As is Dexter Lawrence. The Giants are 6th. But, they also have Jaron Reed, and they did draft Byron Murphy in the 1st round last year. The worst, the 49ers, the signing of Javon Hargrave a couple years ago, did not pan out at all. Now they have a lot of bit pieces at the position, maybe led by Alfred Collins, who, a 2nd-round pick. Edge rusher, the Steelers. As I mentioned, Giants fan, they are 2nd. I thought maybe they'd be 1st. Admittedly, they don't, they have 3 guys who could rush the passer on top of Dexter Lawrence, so really 4, but no one with the ceiling of TJ Watt at the moment, that much is for sure. And Alex Highsmith has had some productive years as well. Worst, the Commanders. I guess Mike Clay doesn't think Von Miller has much left in the tank. Off-ball linebacker, so Commanders go from worst to first. The ageless Bobby Wagner, still an all-pro linebacker guy. And Frankie Lavu, also a very good linebacker. Shakiest the Rams. I wrote the Raiders. Sorry, it's the Rams. You know why I saw LAR? I mean, they haven't been the Los Angeles Raiders in years. But anyhow, yes, that should say Rams. And the Rams really haven't cared about the position in quite some time. Troy Reeder probably will be their number one off-ball linebacker. Cornerback, the Ravens again. So 3 of the 10 categories. Clay ranks the Ravens first. Of course, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, and then Jair Alexander. Whatever you could get from him. Of course, he's had his injury history, but he's also a multiple-time Pro Bowler. Shakiest, no surprise, the Dolphins. Not only because they traded Jalen Ramsey, but they've had, 2 guys suffer season-ending injuries. Really no clear-cut number 1 cornerback. Then safeties, the Detroit Lions. Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, one of the best safety duos in the league. And the Commanders again. So 2 out of the 5 positions, their worst, and 1 their first. Jeremy Chin no longer with the team. Will Harris looks to be that number 1 guy. Chin went to the Raiders. So, yes, those are who he ranks as the best and worst at each position. Do you agree with Clay on these 10 positions? If we go to the overall rankings, as I mentioned, he weighs some positions more heavily than others. I'll go 1 through 32 really quick. So starting at 1, Ravens, Eagles, Bills, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Bengals, Bears, Bucks, Broncos, top 10. 11 through 20, Chargers, Rams, Commanders, Texans, Packers, Patriots, Cowboys, Steelers, Cardinals, 49ers. 21 through 32, Seahawks, Colts, Giants, Dolphins, Falcons, Titans, Jets, Jaguars, Panthers, Raiders, Browns, Saints. So he said he's used this, and it's come up with teams that, surprisingly do well. He mentions 2020 Bucks, 2022 Eagles, 2023 Dolphins. According to this, probably the surprise would be the Chicago Bears at 8th. A team that hasn't made the playoffs. Can Caleb Williams take that step forward? Can Ben Johnson succeed in his first year as a head coach? But yes, you could check out the article on ESPN. My Giants 23rd. I think that's a pretty fair ranking, and I've seen them lower in other websites or other writers. But anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.